Welcome to our monthly live edition of Don't Talk TV. I was going to make this episode the politics/election episode, given that we have an election coming up in just a few weeks, but there are a couple big cases that came up today and yesterday, respectively, one of them being the Freedom Convoy decision involving Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. So we have to talk about this as well. So we've got a fair bit to cover. So without further ado, let's get straight into the episode. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. So before I get into the meat of this episode, I just have to mention I was looking over our numbers, and Don't Talk TV has been stalled at 8,500 subscribers since 2023. So 2 years now. I was surprised it was that long ago when I did the campaign of if we can get to 10,000 subscribers, I'll regrow my handlebar mustache, the one that you see in the little cartoon logo of myself. I did have one of those in the past, but here we are 2 years later, still 8,500. I know a lot of people think we're being shadow banned. I mean, maybe we are, maybe we aren't. I don't know. What I do know is that channels a heck of a lot more controversial than Don't Talk TV have way more subscribers. So clearly there is a way to beat the algorithm. And I think that way is for as many people as possible to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and of course the notification button so you know when we get new videos. So I know a lot of people have said YouTube hasn't been giving them notifications, but if you keep hitting that like button especially and the subscribe button, I think we can get there and get some broader reach. And also I want to remind everyone of our mugs. Talked about them a bit last month. I didn't mention a price. So as I said, we are selling these at cost. We're not looking to make a profit. It's just, something that we thought was neat and some viewers might like. So the cost on these is $10 and then whatever the shipping would be. But if you're in Stratford, I'd be happy to drop it off, or in the general Stratford area. I mean, I don't want to commit myself and Richard to too much driving, but in the general Kitchener, Waterloo, Woodstock, Stratford area, we could probably find a way to meet up and save the shipping, because the shipping would be at least twice as much as the cost of the mug. So I see we've already got some viewers and a good evening from Prairie. So Prairie, thanks for joining us. Always glad to have people on the live, glad to have chat. So hit me with questions, but while the people are formulating their questions, I think the big topic of the day that everyone's been talking about is the court decision involving Chris Barber and Tamara Lich. So, Richard, if we could get that up there, we've got this Global News article here. Tamara Lich, Chris Barber found guilty of mischief with the for Freedom Convoy. Now, actually, Richard, if I could just get you to put up the CBC article, I think that one would be good to take a look, because I think this is something important to point out. I know everyone's kind of losing their mind, and perhaps rightly so, over this decision, but the fact is they were actually found guilty of most of the charges. So if you look at the top here, Chris says that if you could just go down a little bit there, Richard. So Chris Barber and Tamara Lich have been found not guilty of most charges against them for the roles in the 2022 truck convoy protest in Ottawa. They each faced 6 charges, including mischief, intimidation, obstructing police, and counseling others to do the same. Now, so as I understand it, and I've only got news articles to go off of right now. It's too soon for the reported decision to be out. So just going off the news, they were acquitted of everything. They were acquitted of the intimidating police. They were acquitted of obstructing justice. What they were convicted of was a mischief charge. So without knowing the evidence that they led, it's a bit difficult to give my complete thoughts on what what this decision is. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it crazy? Is it reasonable? I just don't really know. But I think we should take a quick look at what is the definition of mischief. So here it is right here, section 430 of the criminal code. So everyone commits mischief who willfully, and here's the one that they were charged with, obstructs, interrupts, or interferes with the lawful use, enjoyment, or operation of property. Now, the thing is, 430 sub 1 sub C, that describes every single protest in the history of mankind. I mean, that's the whole point of a protest. It's not a protest if it's not interfering to some minimal extent, at least, with the lawful use, enjoyment, or operation of property. So the thing that it makes me think here is this is a problem with laws being overly broadly worded. Now, I mean, they're worded broadly for a reason. I think it's because no lawmaker can ever predict every single permutation and different way that things could go and the way that crimes could be done. So they purposely make it vague to give police and judges some leeway that when some weird, unexpected way of committing a crime happens, they have a way of prosecuting it. So, I mean, that's the one side, but it's a double-edged sword, because then the other side is when it's vaguely worded, it can be used to punish things that might not otherwise be criminality. And to give another example, I think assault is a perfect example of that. So the definition of assault is any application of force without the other person's consent. So any application of force, that's extremely broad. I was just telling Richard in preparation for the episode today, I remember a case I did several years ago. Some guys goofing off in the back of a store, like throwing wadded up balls of tape at each other. One guy kind of taps another guy in the head with a bit of hose. That guy was in a bad mood that day, so he didn't want to play this game. He got all upset that one of his coworkers touched him. He goes to HR. HR says, like, well, we're not firing someone for that. So then the guy literally rage quits his job, calls 911 out of retaliation, says I was assaulted at work. We did a whole trial, and I mean, that is the textbook definition of an assault. It was an application of force, tapping him with the hose without his consent, because the guy had his back turned, so he couldn't have. My client didn't know whether he consented or not. So I mean, technically, that's an assault. Now there is a principle of law, but unfortunately in Canada, many judges don't think they don't apply it. There's case law going both ways saying whether this even exists, but it goes with the Latin term de minimis non curat lex, which means the law does not deal in trifles. I mean, it shouldn't. I think that sounds like a common sense position, that the law should only be dealing with serious stuff, but that the definition of what's serious seems to, I think in the past they just depended on police using their discretion, but now, I mean, it's the way things are in the 2020s. Police or anyone else, they're all scared to make decisions because they're going to get in trouble for it. So the easier course is always just lay the charge, let someone else deal with it. So Franklin Davey was asking, can Tamara Litch and Chris Barber appeal? Yes, they can. There's always the right to appeal. The government appealing the Pat King verdict, I actually haven't been following that case, so I can't comment on that one. I'm not even sure what happened with Pat King. So, they would, but both sides have the right to appeal. Whether the appeal will be successful depends on if they have the right arguments of law. I don't know what defense counsel for Ms. Litch and Mr. Barber, I don't know how they tried to defend the case. I don't know on what basis the judge made his ruling, because it's too early to know. So we'll have to wait until the reported decision is out to have more of a, more of a concept of the seriousness of it. Prairie comments that it's an atrocious waste of money to prosecute these individuals. Well, suppose it depends on your perspective. From our perspective of people who think that lockdowns didn't do anything good, that people should have the right to free assembly, as they'd say in the US, or to protest, yeah, it's a waste of money to prosecute that. From the perspective of people who are all in on the COVID narrative and wanting people to respect the government, if orders like that come in again, it's absolutely worth it for them. And unfortunately, I think the majority of Canadians would probably still be on the side of the government saying, yeah, those people should go down. Now, one thing that I think is really interesting that I think should be brought up, and this goes in, it's part and parcel of the whole thing that I talk about in terms of like unequal application of law or selective enforcement of the law. I mean, I think there's clearly selective enforcement with Ms. Litch and Mr. Barber being prosecuted in circumstances where we've seen all kinds of other protests for other topics, like all the Black Lives Matter protests, the Every Child Matters protests. I mean, where they're actually tearing down statues and doing damage to public property. That's not prosecuted, but this is. So that's a problem. But then this is a question that I haven't found an answer to. And if anyone knows the answer, I'd love to hear it. There were 3 leaders of the Freedom Convoy, or 3 people holding themselves out to be leaders of the Freedom Convoy. There is Ms. Litch, Ms. Barber, and then B.J. Dichter, or Benjamin Joseph Dichter. He was also one of the leaders. I've just got his Wikipedia page up here because I don't know that he has a personal website or anything, but I mean that I'm wondering, why was he not charged? Because I saw the press conferences they're putting. He was right in there with them, holding himself out as a leader. I say holding themselves out because I don't even know how much of leaders they were. It seemed like it was more of an organic thing, and the truckers were the real heroes, and Ms. Litch and Mr. Barber get maybe too much credit or too much blame by the government. They've kind of become scapegoats by the government, and but I just don't understand, why is Mr. Dichter not included in that? And just to go over, who is this person? He's a leader. I mean, his Wikipedia page says he is a leader of the 2022 Canadian Convoy protest. He's an entrepreneur working as a journalist, truck driver, author, and podcast publisher. Formerly, he has worked as a gemologist. I don't know what that is. And as a print shop owner in Toronto, he is the founder of the LGBTQ conservative group LGBT Tory. I mean, I don't know if there's any hints in that as to why he wasn't charged. But again, if anyone knows how he escaped being charged, I'd love to find out. Now, excellent example given by Prairie. Pro-Palestine protests, I mean, they've been doing some real blocking of traffic. I mean, there was the one, I think they're blocking Prime Minister, as he then was, Trudeau's motorcade. We don't see them being charged with mischief. So I think that's the bigger problem here, is how it seems to be a different definition of what's a mischievous protest and what isn't, depending on what position you're advocating. Whereas the law should be blind. The law should be everyone treated the same. And another symptom of this not treating people the same is, as Franklin Davey points out, in the UK, lighter skin color can get you a heftier sentence. Well, same thing in Canada. I've covered this. Richard is I can see him in the background there, furiously working to find the episode number. I know it's older than I always think it was, but we've covered this on Don't Talk TV, that there is race-based sentencing. It's written right into the Criminal Code of Canada that there's different considerations, or there's special considerations for people that are considered to be of racialized groups, and also in bail court. We just covered that. Recently. I think that was just last week or the week before, actually, that we covered race-based bail. Yeah, that was last week, episode 244. So I recommend that you have a look at that. And Richard's just put the link for 244 in the comments. So Nico has a bit of intel for us on LGB Tory. It says LGB Tory has a very bad rep, especially in the UK. They are a commie subversive group in Canada. So I don't know if his ties to that group, if that's part of why Mr. Dichter wasn't charged. I don't know, because as far as I could tell from the things I watched when the protest was going on, he was every bit as involved as Ms. Litch and Mr. Barber were. So again, I'm a bit of a loss of why he's not charged. And just to follow up on I guess the comments with the pro-Palestine protests, Prairie is indicating that in Ottawa yesterday, Daisy Media was headbutted by a pro-Palestine protester right in front of the police, and they just shrugged it off. So again, perfect example of like different application of law for different people. Because I can guarantee you that if anyone from the Freedom Convoy headbutted someone of the media, especially legacy media, they would have been arrested right away. And I mean, people were arrested just for protesting. And just recently, there's a group, Second Sons Canada, with Jeremy McKenzie. They were just doing a photo shoot in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. I think Dartmouth is part of Halifax, and I mean the local MP was calling for these people to be charged with hate crimes and saying that they're all haters. I mean, just for standing with a few Canadian flags and taking some pictures. Now, of course, some of them were wearing masks, so they're going, oh, see, they're terrorists because they're wearing masks. But I can understand why they'd wear masks, because they're getting death threats after the local MP came out saying that that they're all a bunch of neo-Nazis and they're haters and what have you. Which, speaking of haters and neo-Nazis, that brings me to a case that I've been following for several episodes now. So this is the case of this dark foreigner. I talked about it. Richard helped me out on what episode that it was that we first talked about this. But I talked about hate crimes, what constitutes hate crime, and the fact that the police still haven't been able to solve even one of the it's something obscene, like 400 churches have been burnt down at this point, certainly over 200. They're not able to solve all that, but they literally went to the ends of the earth to find this dark foreigner character. And I've talked about that in a few episodes. I know that we covered that. Episode 165 is the one that I'm thinking of, where we were talking about the church burnings, hate crime, and that's the first time that I mentioned this Patrick McDonald, aka Dark Foreigner case. And then we also have a playlist of all the hate crime stuff. So Richard, you could put that in the chat. That'd be great. But this case, I just find it interesting because, again, it goes back to, when they want to find someone, they'll do what it takes to find them. This is what they'll do what it takes to find, is an individual who made some videos for a group that doesn't even exist anymore, but at one time was a neo-Nazi group. So it says here, an Ottawa man has been found guilty of sowing hate, fear, and division by helping create racist recruitment videos and other terrorist propaganda for a now defunct far-right international terrorist group. So the Superior Court Justice found him guilty of 3 charges: participating in terrorist activity, facilitating terrorist activity, and inciting hate against Jews for 1 or more terrorist activities, including Atomwaffen Division and the neo-Nazi James Mason. Actually, the first time I've seen James Mason, actually, I don't even know who that is, but that's the first time I've seen that name linked to this McDonald individual. So that's Mr. McDonald there. So I just find it interesting that, making videos or making some memes, that'll get you labeled a terrorist if it's a certain group. And we'll look into this one in more detail as well once we've got the decision. Again, this is too recent, and I like to look at the actual case, the actual decision made by the judge, before I make too much commentary, because at this point I don't know what the evidence is. We'll know once we have the decisions. But yes, as Prairie says, we are in the days where memes will get you charged, but only certain memes will get you charged. I've never heard of anyone doing pro-Palestine memes getting charged. People doing stuff talking about, our former prime minister said it's understandable when people talk about burning churches down. That's not terrorism, but recruiting for a group, that is terrorism. So, I think it's noteworthy to look at what is considered hate crime, what's considered crime generally, so you know how to conduct yourself appropriately. But I think that goes back to why Mr. McKenzie and his friends would well, he wasn't masking himself because he's the public face of that group, and he's he's tangled with the courts before, and I guess he's willing to take them on again if he has to. But that's why his members are covering their face and death threats. And I would be shocked if anyone gets charged for threatening those people. Hopefully, I'm proven wrong on that. Hopefully, I'm being unreasonable in thinking and saying that I'd be surprised if they got charged. But unfortunately, I would be. So that said, let me get into what the main thing I wanted to do today. I thought this would be interesting. Is the CBC vote compass, because we got the election coming up. So I thought it'd be interesting to go through this and see how I stack up. I've been taken to task in the comments section about why do you support the PPC? Why do you have Maxime Bernier on the show? You should be supporting the Conservatives. So we're in Stratford here, so A5, that's the postal code for my office, Perth, Wellington. Yep. So let's see what we've got here. Okay. How much should the federal government, how much say should it have over how provinces conduct their affairs? I mean, the federal government doesn't have a whole lot of say over how provinces conduct their affairs, but I'll say somewhat less. Canadians should be taxed on the carbon they emit. Strongly disagree. The federal government should permit the construction of more oil pipelines. Yeah, they should, of course. How much federal funding should universities receive? I think much less. I mean, these things make all kinds of money as it is. They don't need government support. How much say should Indigenous people have over how Canada's natural resources are used? I'm going to say I don't know, just because they don't really have an option that would meet with my definition. I mean, I think Indigenous people should have complete autonomy over their own lands. I mean, they should really, why not just give them complete, like they're separate countries even. They can run their own affairs as they see fit. Federal government should cover the cost of prescription drugs for all Canadians. I'm going to say somewhat agree, because I mean, if we're getting our, heck, if people's methadone is covered, I think people should be able to have their cancer medication or their insulin covered. There should be fewer people employed by the federal government. Yeah, I strongly agree. Way too many people are for it. Quebec should be an independent state. Neutral. I'm not a Quebecer. It's up to them. Federal government should prevent provinces from enacting laws that restrict public sector employees. Well, I'll say somewhat disagree, just because I said that I thought somewhat disagreed that the government should be more involved. Feds should be more involved with the provinces. How much should Canada do to reduce its carbon emissions? Much less, because I don't think carbon's a problem. I'm more concerned about actual pollution, microplastics in the environment, chemicals all over the environment, garbage being dumped into the oceans. Tariffs on the U.S., I'm going to cop out and say I don't know. I mean, I don't think reciprocal tariffs are really going to do anything. But federal government should fund sites where people can consume illegal drugs. Disagree. And I could tell you, as a lawyer, that's not helping anyone. That's just keeping people locked in that cycle of addiction. I don't. Transgender women should be able to compete in women's leagues. No. Strongly disagree to $10 a day daycare. In my view, it'd be better to help people be able to raise their own children. Puberty blockers should be banned for adolescents. I strongly agree. Federal deficit should be reduced. Even leads to fewer services. Agree. Only those that speak English and French should be considered to top jobs in federal government. I'll say somewhat agree, because, I mean, it is a bilingual country. Those are our official languages. Canada should end its ties to the monarchy. I strongly disagree. I've talked about that before. Richard can dig up my episode on the death of Queen Elizabeth, where I explain that in more detail. People who break the law should be given harsher sentences. Now, you're probably going to think this is weird coming from a defense lawyer, but I actually agree with that. I mean, obviously it's my job to use the law to the best for my clients, but I honestly think harsher sentences would lead to more acquittals, because you won't get the situation. Abortion should be much less accessible. You won't get the situation where people are given the reasonable doubt on sentence, where they're given a light sentence instead of being acquitted. And that is a thing, I believe. Canada's laws against hate speech place too many limits on freedom of expression. Yeah, strongly agree, as we've discussed. How much money should our work Canadians receive in EI? I'm going to say much more, not because I'm a socialist, but because with the amount of bloody money I pay into EI, a hardworking Canadian who loses their job should be getting more money than they are given. How much Canada should spend on foreign aid? 0, but that's not an option, so I'll put much less. How much should wealthier people pay in taxes? That one I haven't given enough thought on. I mean, I'd say about the same, somewhat less, because I don't think income tax should be a thing. How much role should the private sector have in healthcare? I mean, I'd like to see our healthcare the way it was when I was a kid, which is a lot better than it is now. So we can say somewhat more, since that's the only way some people are going to get healthcare. Canada should continue providing military assistance to Ukraine. Strongly disagrees. We're not in alliance with them. Nothing to do with us. Why are we pouring all our taxpayer money into that? Canada should spend much more on its military, its own military, rather than Ukraine's. Federal government should prioritize hiring visible minority. No, they should strongly prioritize hiring the best people for the job, regardless of their skin color. Denying harms caused by the residential school should be a criminal offense. Strongly disagree for the reasons discussed, because what does that mean, downplaying, right? Having any discussion about it is hate crime. Immigrants should be many fewer in Canada. Finding it difficult to cope financially on my current income. I'm going to say strongly, I mean, I'm a lawyer and I make good money, and it's tough to get by with how expensive everything's saying. Oh, how competent is Elizabeth May? Pierre Poilievre, I'll give him a 4. Jonathan Pedneau, I don't even know who that guy is. I mean, I know he's the new leader of the Green Party. Mark Carney, well, he messed up UK's economy pretty well. We'll give him a 1. Jagmeet Singh, he's a 0. Maxime Bernier, I mean, I love Max, but honestly, I can't give him more than a 6, because he's not the best communicator in the world, and I was pretty disappointed at trust in his debate performance when he was in 2019. I mean, I'm just being the honest facts. I say I really like him personally. I think his policies are spot on. Elizabeth May, you know what? I'd actually give her a decent trustworthy, because I think she seems like an honest liberal. I mean, she honestly believes what she's doing. Pierre Poilievre, 4 trustworthiness. This guy, I don't know. Mark Carney, yeah, we'll give him a 0 for trustworthiness. Jagmeet Singh, I mean, I think that speaks for itself. Now, Maxime Bernier, he's worthy of a 10. I'll put I haven't decided yet what party am I leaning towards. We'll, I keep hoping that some of the Conservative Party people who like to chastise me in the comments box will show up, so I'll put that. Maybe that will enrage them. Which party did I vote for? I can't even remember who I voted for in 2021, but I think it was the PPC candidate. I'm just going to skip all the rest of this nonsense. So here we go, loading results. So 88, yeah, here I am, kind of right in the middle here. Now, this is what I find hilarious, is the CPC located this far to the social conservative and this far to the economic right. I mean, I think the PPC is probably accurately. I mean, I don't really understand how they're socially more to the right than I am. I'm not sure which answers they're saying that. Maybe they're associating a hatred of the monarchy with socially conservative, but I don't think so, because the Green Party and NDP have the same position as the PPC. But let's look down here. Like, how do they come up with this? So alignment by issue. Let's see. Let's get some interesting ones. Pipelines, universities, federal government, prescription drugs. So I mean, this is one where I'm not aligned with the PPC, because they're more libertarian than I am. So that's my disagreement. But carbon emissions, yeah. Let's see. So transgender women should be able to compete in women's sporting leagues. So allegedly the CPC holds the same position as me in the PPC. Now, I know the PPC for sure does. The CPC, I'm a bit skeptical on that, but I'll give them the benefit of doubt on that one. But there's some here I know are just wrong. Like this, that the prescription puberty blocker should be banned for adolescents. CPC strongly agree. I don't think so. The party that unanimously voted in favor of C4 Bill C4 that makes it illegal to even talk to your children about these transgender or homosexual issues, because that would be the crime of conversion therapy. This is just inaccurate. I don't know where CBC gets this from, but it's not right. And Richard, we did an episode on the C4 position. That's episode 172. If you could throw the link in the comments section. I mean, that's just simply not true. Deficit should be reduced. I guess the CPC has talked about that. Canada should end its ties with monarchy. Yeah, that's where I'm different from the PPC. People who break the law should be given harsher sentences. Sure. Okay, I guess this one's accurate, that the CPC says that abortion should be the same. I don't know how, like, LPC, NDP, and Green Party saying it should be more. I mean, how can it possibly be more than it is right now? I mean, it's complete, no holds barred. You can, like, up to, like, birth minus 30 seconds, you can get an abortion in Canada, and it's paid for by the taxpayers. I don't even know how it could be more accessible than it currently is. Now, here's another one. This is just completely inaccurate to say that the CPC strongly agrees that Canada's laws against hate speech place too many limits on freedom of expression. Clearly and demonstrably false. The Conservative Party of Canada are the ones who introduced, by way of a private member's bill, the law that makes it a crime to question in any way the official. Well, actually, it's not even that. The whole Holocaust downplaying law. Problem is, they don't even define what the Holocaust is, such that you can know what it would mean to downplay it. But I mean, obviously, like, that's just such a problematic law, as I've discussed on episode 136. It's just demonstrably false that the Conservative Party of Canada has a position that Canada's laws against hate speech place too many limits on freedom of expression. Simply not true. Again, I don't know where the CBC gets this from. How much Canada should spend on foreign aid? This is the first I've ever heard the Conservative Party wants to slash foreign aid. But I mean, I think we've covered some of the essentials here. Taxes, private sector, and healthcare. I mean, some of these are, to me, less important issues. I think immigration, crime, and housing are the key issues. Like the social degradation, the stuff like having children's body parts cut off and given drugs that irrevocably destroy their health. I mean, this is a laugh here. How much should Canada spend on its military? Liberal Party of Canada, much more. This is the party that's been in charge of the country for 10 years and has gutted the military and cut the has cut the funding. I mean, they just cut it by almost $1 billion last year. So we got another comment from Saniko talking about LGBT Tory. It said Matthew Sefton, which was LGBT Conservative chairperson that was arrested for child pornography. Oh, yes, that was in the UK. I remember seeing that. So LGBT Tory, LGBT plus Conservative are all part of the same organization. So that's going back to Mr. Dichter, and who was part of the Freedom Convoy leadership but wasn't charged. So just some more information on the organization he's with, or the one he helped found. I infer from what the Wikipedia article says that he's no longer a member of that group. But in any event, it's kind of a fun thing to go through. I mean, I don't think, as I discussed, I don't think this is very accurate. I just find it interesting that for my entire lifetime, the Conservative Party of Canada and the Progressive Conservatives before them, they've always been terrified of being called conservative by the media. And so they take these liberal positions so that they won't be accused of being conservative. Yet then the media still accuses them of being conservative. So, I mean, I don't even see what the point is of being scared of the media. They're going to call you conservative anyway. Why not lean into it and own it and just be conservative? And I mean, I haven't seen anyone taking me to task in the comments box. So I guess maybe no one will be able to tell me. But I mean, I'm legitimately interested. Someone tell me what's significantly different between the positions of the Conservative Party of Canada and Liberal Party of Canada, such that I should vote for them. Now, I am aware of the firearms issue. That is probably the one, and it is a big one, that the Conservative Party of Canada, and I think they can be trusted to do this, is to delete all those orders in council that Mr. Trudeau put through via the Governor General to banning all sorts of firearms. Fair point. I think that is one big point of difference. And if you're a single issue voter on the firearms issue, then yeah, I could definitely see a strong argument to vote for the Conservative Party. But other than that, I don't know what's different. There's certainly no different on immigration. Arguably, if immigration was my single issue, I'd be more likely to vote for the Liberal Party than the Conservatives, because I mean the Liberals have actually reduced immigration, and the Conservatives they're still, I mean, they're pushing hard for the immigrant vote. I played the video in one of my recent ones of Mr. Poilievre saying, well, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you're from, you're still Canadian. It doesn't matter what your name is, doesn't matter, anything. So, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of feeling along the lines with Prairie here. I mean, what is the difference? I don't know. So, Sanika, you're going to have to explain that one a bit to me. Liberals, refugees, conservative nurses. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that, but I know that's part of the problem with only having so much room to type and in text. But I mean, I'm not here telling anyone how to vote. I just having to look at some of the issues. As I said, I'm not totally decided who I'm going to vote, because I want to fully educate myself on the parties and the candidates, because it's the candidate, your local candidate, that you vote for. Now, that said, the PPC candidate in my riding, the one where I live, he's run before, so I know a little bit about him. Seems like a decent guy, so I'll probably vote PPC, but we'll have a look. So Cliff C says that the CPC is afraid of the word abortion. Yeah, they certainly seem to be. And I mean, the whole abortion issue, it's really a moot point. I mean, the media loves to use it to try and beat up the CPC. I'm obviously pro-life, and I think it should be illegal. But the point is, it never will be illegal without an amendment of the Constitution and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms the way it is now, and a vast change in Canadian society. So Taniko's saying how the immigration policy, Liberals say we need refugees, Conservatives say we need nurses, essentially saying the same thing, but with the different words. And Dixie Normus says that the Liberals are for the carbon tax, Conservatives are against it. Well, yes, that's most likely the case. I mean, I think that the temporary and illegal cancellation of the carbon tax by Mark Carney is just to buy votes, and carbon tax will be back once the election's over if the Liberal Party of Canada is elected to government. And just incidentally, carbon tax is a piece of legislation that has to be undone by legislation. It cannot be undone by the Prime Minister signing a piece of paper in front of the cameras as if he's the President of the United States. That just can't be done. I mean, I don't even know what he signed, because the Prime Minister does not have executive power. I mean, the Governor General could sign an order in council, but I'm reasonably certain, I'd have to double check some law, but I'm reasonably certain that legislation cannot be undone by an order in council. So that was done completely illegally, yet you see the price at the pumps has gone down 20 cents a liter magically. Unfortunately, this is what a country where the rule of law is completely breaking down, what it looks like where politicians can just do stuff that they actually have no legal authority to do, and it somehow gets put into operation. So it's 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 very troubling to me as a lawyer to see the rule of law breaking down like that in our country, because this country was built on laws. It's built on peace, order, and good government, and we're not getting any of that now. We're actually going all of it. We're going exactly opposite of that. So anyway, good chat with everyone in the comments section. I covered everything I wanted to cover. I'm not seeing any burning questions, but I do agree with Cliff that when you start disobeying the law like this and just doing stuff that there's actually no legal authority to, that is anarchy, or at the very least the prelude to anarchy. So even though it's nice to pay 20 cents less a liter at the pump, I'm more concerned about the manner in which it was done, because that can have worse, far-reaching consequences. But so that said, again, thanks everyone for joining us. As I said at the beginning, please like this video, and I see 5 people already have, so thank you for that. Like it, subscribe, turn on notifications. We were up to 8.8 thousand. Now we're back down 8.5. I assume, or I hope that that's because YouTube is unilaterally unsubscribing people, not because people don't like my content. Although if you don't like my content, feel free to suggest what you'd like to see us cover rather than what we have been covering. But again, as I said, I think that's the way to beat the algorithm. If we are being shadow banned, it can be defeated because there's channels way more controversial than Don't Talk TV that have way more subscribers. So clearly, if shadow banning is a thing, it's not something that can't be beaten. So this video, of course, is not legal advice. If you need legal advice, you should contact a lawyer. My contact information is running along on the little banner on the bottom if you want me to be the lawyer that you consult, but you always need a lawyer to give you specific advice to the situation that you're in. Thank you, Cliff. I really appreciate that, saying that you love my content. Topics you'd like to see us cover, please email them to the email address listed below, or leave a comment in the comment section. And again, not to belabor it too much, but if you found the video interesting, helpful, or informative, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing.